Sami Zayn here with us on the UK tour. Sami, how are you, my man?
Very good. Very happy to be here.
You travel extremely well, don't you?
I I love being here. I see it as a real privilege to be able to come here. I came here almost 20 years ago for the first time, and I was just telling these guys on the bus the first time I came here, I thought it would be the last time I came. You know, because you don't know. You just don't know what the future has in store. So I think I view every trip to the UK like that. Like, man, you never know. It's a privilege to be here, and you might not come again. Like, just enjoy it as much as you can.
It's a great segue.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that you might not happen again.
Yeah.
I spoke to Kevin in Australia about the tag title run you guys had coming out of WrestleMania last year, and he said he was very proud of the matches you'd put on TV. There were things he wished that maybe could have done more, you could have gone longer. It was a tag title run that a lot of us had wanted for so long. Did it match up to what you had dreamt that it would be?
In some respects, yes, and in some respects, like there were some things that I had pitched or things creatively that I thought we could have done, or even fun things because we have a fun kind of relationship as friends. There were some things I would have loved to have done, but I think our actual reign, I don't really have much negative to say about it because other than maybe the lack of diversity in opponents, like we were really joined at the hip with Judgment Day. Right. But I also don't mind because it was extremely challenging to wrestle them so much and to try to not get people to burn out on it and to constantly have excellent matches. And I'm very, very, very proud. If you actually go back, I almost feel like because they saw so many of the matches, people kind of forgot how good those matches were. But if you go back and watch any match that we had with any combination of Judgment Day, or whether we were teaming in six-mans with Cody or Seth or whoever, the matches, I mean, we had people rocking and rolling in the main event of the third hour of Raw, and that's always a hard thing to do. Yeah. And we were doing that every single week, and I'm very, very proud of that. Do I think we could have had a little bit more fun with some of the backstage or the creative, I don't know, story? Sure, always. But I think it was a very special run. And I think if we ever hold the tag team titles again, it'll have a very different flavor. So, yeah, you can't get that one back. You know, that was the reign, and that was what it was. And overall, I'm very proud of it.
I thought that little 3-minute backstage video package that he was a part of before your Mania match with your family, with Chad Gable, you know, I just thought he was the icing on the cake for that.
Yeah. That was cool.
You know, I thought it added so much to the match.
Yeah, I was just so stressed at the time because I was trying to I also didn't fully understand what the shot was. And I was just so stressed. I was like, can we pre-tape this? Because you know, but then I realized oh, no. Once I realized what the shot was, and I didn't have time to even process it. So the way the fans saw it for the first time was almost how I experienced it for the first time because I was kind of just realizing what it was minutes before actually doing it. There was no rehearsal of it. There was no nothing. And I only realized while I was walking, I was like, oh man, this is cool. Yeah. And I started getting hyped up and I'm like punching and smashing things as I'm walking. And that was real because it was actually getting me, you know, it's like I've never had like a WrestleMania entrance, but that was my version of a WrestleMania entrance. Because Sami Zayn, like the character is not there's not a whole lot of bells and whistles to it, you know? It's kind of like straightforward working class type mentality, I think, behind it. But that was that's my version of it, you know? And it was perfect for the story going into them. I loved it. Yeah. Long answer. Short answer, I loved it. I was very cool.
And going into it, I remember thinking, I've seen Sami win the IC title. I'm not really sure this is going to be, you know, because I want to see you win the world title, right?
Sure. Oh, thank you.
Then I got super invested as things got closer. And in that moment, and then when the actual match unfolds, just amazing. Your last 3 Manias, you could hang your hat on those. Does that mean a lot to you? You know, if we go back to 3 years ago where you probably thought you stood in the company and what your legacy was and all those things, you know, do you feel the weight of that or, you know, what you've done in the last 3 years?
Yeah. Honestly, I've had a pretty good track record at WrestleMania in general. Like even my first one, we had this ladder match that I was really proud of. The Daniel Bryan return match. I remember when we were doing that match, I go, I can't believe we have a match of this magnitude. This is probably like a top 5 match on a WrestleMania card. Like, You're lucky to get that in your career ever. This is the biggest thing we'll ever do at WrestleMania. And that was WrestleMania 34. You know, who would have guessed that all those years later, getting to do so many other great things. Yeah, I don't know. I try to just appreciate things, and especially when I'm in them, because I don't know, like I said about coming to the UK, I don't know if I'll be back. Probably, you know, but you just don't know for sure. So if those were my last 3 Manias, man, pretty good. Yeah, really good. I mean, there are Hall of Famers that never got those kind of stories, that never got to tell those kind of stories or have those kind of matches at WrestleMania. Like, that's pretty, I don't know, man. That's something to be proud of.
You won the titles with Kevin and you faced him at Mania. Like,
Yeah.
as friends, you can't have done much more together.
No, and we were in a ladder match in our first WrestleManias together. We teamed at WrestleMania. We faced each other at WrestleMania. We won the tag team titles in the main event of WrestleMania. Like, everything we could have ever dreamed. He actually said this, and it's true. Like, we couldn't even have dreamt it up.
Yeah.
Because that dream just didn't exist. You know what I mean? Like, tag teams just didn't. The tag team titles have never main evented WrestleMania ever. It just wasn't even something you could dream about. So to say it exceeded expectations, an understatement. Our expectations.
Final one, because I know, you know, I have to let you go.
Yeah.
You've got to catch that bus for the show.
Never enough time.
Never have enough time.
Story of my life.
We keep hearing so much about this new era, and I think we can all feel it under Triple H and whatnot. I said earlier I wanted to see you win the world title. Do you think that's more realistic now under the guidance of Triple H than perhaps previously with Vince?
Ooh, this is a tricky question, and I'll be careful to answer it correctly. But in a weird, twisted way, it's like, okay, so here's how I see it. I think Hunter sees me differently from how Vince saw me, for sure, especially as a good guy. I think Vince saw me much more as a bad guy for a number of reasons. I think he saw my irksome qualities in me that he thought lent itself very good to being an irksome character. Having said that, I think things were a lot more unpredictable because of the nature of Vince's like week-to-week kind of approach, that sometimes the marble would just fall in the right hole and now you're champion. Whereas with Hunter, I think it's much more, he has longer term vision. And if you're not part of that vision, then the chances of like breaking into that vision are much, much slimmer. Nice. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, he might see me in a way that lends itself more to being in that mix and possibly winning it. But on the other hand, I could have just slipped on a banana peel and won the world title. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't know. All this to say, look, I just do my best. I just give the best performances I can give. I try to perform with as much emotion as possible and take people and tell the best stories I can tell. And I hope that that eventually gets me there. And I really do. I'd like to like win the world title or the universal or the world championship or whatever once before I call it a day. There's no question. But look, I don't live and die by that. I've had a great career, as you pointed out, just those WrestleMania matches or WrestleMania moments alone. That's more than most people ever get to do. People who've won the world title 10 times over haven't gotten to do that. So, like, I'm good, you know? It'd be great. And I really appreciate you and other people saying they'd love to see it. I'd love to see it too. And I hope it happens. But if it doesn't, thank you just the same, because it's been amazing.